Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 377.
Without objection, the good lady has the floor to begin the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I also have permission to refer to pending legislation?
With the body's approval, and I hear no objection, the lady may refer to other pieces, so pending legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I would like to first draw your attention to the title of this bill. It's called Dignity and Non-Discrimination in Public Education. Again, dignity and non-discrimination, and that no monies shall be used to support discrimination on the basis of race, sex, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin. It's really that simple. That's what this bill is about. You heard me quote someone I respect on this floor before when I said that unity and diversity are not opposites. One way we unite is by ensuring a classroom environment that is free from discrimination and where the dignity and beliefs of each and every student are respected. You will notice this bill does not prohibit teaching any particular content, from the Civil War to the Holocaust to the French Revolution to sexism, racism, communism, or any other ism. One of my children had an incredible history teacher in the Bonneville School District. And I was sitting in our office one morning, and he was practicing the piano. And he abruptly stopped playing his piece, and he turned to me and he said, "Mom, I just realized Mr. Dyrich is not a history teacher. He's a future teacher. He's teaching us about history so we can change the future." That is the classroom we all want. That is where free thought and facts are presented just as this bill requires. He took away that he was learning history so he could change the future. I would like to read from paragraph 1 of the bill. Its purpose is to respect the dignity of others, acknowledge the right of others to express differing opinions, foster and defend intellectual honesty, freedom of inquiry and instruction, freedom of speech and association. Again, this bill reaffirms freedom of belief, inquiry, instruction, speech, and association. Parents are growing increasingly concerned about bias and certain curriculum in their local schools, and we are now facing an extraordinary and rapidly evolving federal takeover of curriculum in our local public schools. The U.S. Department of Education has already published rules stating as much. One sentence reads, Mr. Speaker, do I need permission to read from a federal rule regarding education, or may I ask permission to read from a federal rule?
I believe you do. The lady's asking unanimous consent to be allowed to read from a federal rule. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the lady has the permission of the body.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen. This comes from a proposed rule by the U.S. Department of Education. Quote, schools across the country are working to incorporate anti-racist practices into teaching and learning, unquote. Great ideal, but here's the problem. Here's the definition of anti-racist. An anti-racist idea is any that suggests that racial groups are equals. That flies in the face of our Declaration of Independence that said all men, meaning people, are created equal. That flies in the face of Martin Luther King's "I have a dream" that his 4 little children will be judged not on the color of the skin, but on the content of their character. As someone who has spent 20 years in elected office, 11 years on a school board, and 9 years now in the legislature, I have worked to improve educational opportunities for our children. This federal rule is deeply troubling to me. I am a firm advocate of retaining local control of our schools and our institutions. The 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, our Bill of Rights, is clear that any powers not delegated to the United States are reserved to the states and to the people, period. This bill is Idaho's statement that we will not tolerate discrimination in schools, and we are reserving education policy and curricular decisions to the state and to our local institutions and schools. We've heard it said that we've done very little to support Idaho's teachers this year. Let me remind you that the budgets that are waiting to move total $3.1 billion, 32% more than we approved last year. That's 2.2 around our standard appropriation, plus another $870 million in federal funds. And the ARPA funds we have attached no strings to. There are strings coming from the federal government. We are not attaching any as a state. We are sending those on through to say to our teachers and our administrators, spend them how you need to spend them to accommodate COVID situations and make our schools safe, make them a place of dignity and non-discrimination. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield my remaining time to the good lady from 31.
Will the lady yield?
The lady yields.
The lady has the floor to continue the opening debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good ladies and gentlemen. It has been a privilege to work with the good lady from 30 and many others in putting together some legislation that accurately captures our desired outcome for Idaho schools. As the good lady from 30 mentioned, our goal is dignity and non-discrimination in schools, and our desire is to proactively protect Idaho schools and to preserve local control by establishing in law a firm position for the state of Idaho in regard to particular troubling trends in education generally. As the good lady identified, our desired outcomes may be found in Section 1 of House Bill 377. Section 2 outlines some concerns. Section 3 is the operative part of the bill, and that is where I would like to focus my comments. If you will look at 3A, Romanet I-1, you will see that we are prohibiting teachers, schools, charter schools, and there's a list. There's a list there. From requiring students to personally affirm, adopt, or adhere to the following tenets. And a tenet is a belief. First, that any sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin is inherently superior or inferior. Second, that individuals should be adversely treated on the basis of their sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin. And third, that individuals, by virtue of sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin, are inherently responsible for actions committed in the past by other members of the same sex, race, ethnicity, religion, color, or national origin. When I read these tenets, this is the definition of discrimination. These are the beliefs that we do not want to be teaching to our children. And so I would close with a little soundbite from Governor DeSantis from Florida, who declared that they would not be using 1 red cent of taxpayer dollars to teach their children to hate each other and to hate their country. Ladies and gentlemen, this piece of legislation is an important opportunity for us to proactively protect Idaho schools, and I invite your support of House Bill 377.